Hello, this is Ignatius 500 and I am Father Michael Rossman. Do you know what being a contemplative in action means? Why do some people find God in all things? Does it make sense to reconcile with those who disagree? To love and serve in everything? Are you sure? If you have studied at any Jesuit institution, these phrases may sound familiar to you. But perhaps in your circle, people are so busy that you don't even wonder what those things mean. Maybe you've come here for the first time and you've never heard of them before. In any case, all of those phrases say a lot about St. Ignatius of Loyola's time in Rome and the early years of the Society of Jesus, the Jesuits. It's 1538. Ignatius has spent most of his life on pilgrimage looking for the things he lacked. He spent time in Loyola, Pamplona, Manresa, Jerusalem, Alcalá, Salamanca, Paris, and more. But it was not until he arrived at La Storda, a small town north of Rome, that he understood something crucial. It is not about always doing more to be with God. It is about being with God so that you can act, to serve God and others. And finally, it all started to make sense. Having searched in many places, Rome was where he was supposed to be. Not to control the foundation of the Society of Jesus, not to gain influence with the Pope, not because he wanted to be there. Rome was the place, not the roads of Europe or Jerusalem, simply because he felt God was asking him to be there. Remember that Ignatius began to write the spiritual exercises in Manresa, but it contains elements from his entire life. It is a method, a training routine, to know what God's desires are for you. These exercises end with a contemplation on how to attain love. It's the culmination of Ignatius's book and his life's work. In it, Ignatius speaks of love as the cornerstone of existence. He tells us to put love more into our works than into our words. He speaks of gratitude for all the good we receive in our lives and of where that gratitude takes us, to give our lives for others. Ignatius and his first 9 companions had this engraved in their hearts. They were certain that they wanted to burn the ships for the good of others. They were certain that God dwelt in others and in all things around us, in our common home. They were sure that they had received everything from God, and what came out of it, the Society of Jesus, was a reflection of that certainty. In less than 15 years, there were already more than 1,000 men who took this seriously and went to the ends of the world, bearing witness to Jesus, consoling hearts torn apart by senseless evil, serving the poor and those marginalized through injustice. And that continues today. I am a Jesuit and I try to live all this. Every Jesuit has felt fear and anxiety at some point in his life, maybe even found himself in darkness. But we continue on this path. Each Jesuit has his own story, but all of us have been influenced by how this adventure fills the heart. There is an awareness of God in our surroundings. We see him in the people with whom we share our life. A lot has happened since the foundation of the Society of Jesus, but without a doubt, there is a common thread to which you too are invited, to follow Jesus. That's what counts for us. What about you?